Okay, so let's go over the course introduction module 0. So when you log in to Canvas and you head over to the modules, let's take a quick overview of what the course looks like. So at the top, quick links are just links to content that you can quickly access. All of these links are spread throughout the modules. I've just collected all the important ones up top for you, like the syllabus, the textbook, and course videos. So all the textbooks for this class are free and open source, so you do not have to purchase any textbooks. Okay, below the quick links, you'll see that each section there is a module. We have module 0, course introduction, which is this module. We have module 1, Git introduction, module 2, Git basics, and module 3, branching and merging, module 4, GitHub, and finally a wrap-up module with a final exam. Each module follows roughly the same layout, where you have a series of videos. We have a README, okay, that kind of gives you a full overview of the course, right? You have maybe 1 or 2 videos to watch, some readings, a few quizzes, and then a few assignments. And pretty much everything is the same. README, overview, some videos, reading, quiz, and then a hands-on lab, and then a retrospective. So should be fairly straightforward. So what I want to do is I want to go over some important things for this module, module 0, because module 0 lays some groundwork for the rest of the course. So specifically, this module has introduces the command line. Now, the command line is pretty important because the command line is how we're going to be doing most of our assignments, and I use it all over in the videos, and it's pretty hard not to use the command line when you're writing code. The command line is incredibly powerful, and a lot of the version control advanced features for Git can only be accessed through the command line. So we are going to use the command line from within VS Code. So that's what I'm going to demo here. So let's get started with VS Code and Git. So to start off, I have a document here that walks you through installing VS Code, configuring everything, installing Git. Now you do need to install Git and install the Visual Studio Code. And I recommend that you install the Java version because then you can use it in other classes like 121, 221, 321. The Java version is pretty nice because it has the Java Development Kit all integrated, and it makes it easy for future courses. So you do need to install Git separately, right? So you can't not install Git. Now, it is different for Mac or Windows or Linux, so make sure that you select the right one for whatever platform you're on. So there is a downloader for Windows. You can do the 64-bit one. You don't need 32-bit anymore. So, and for Mac, I would follow what the recommendation is for Mac. So Mac installs through Homebrew or Mac ports. I would recommend Homebrew because it seems Homebrew is just better supported nowadays. So you can follow the instructions to install Homebrew. Once you have Homebrew installed, then you can just type brew install Git from the command line. So let's go ahead and run VS Code. So assume you got VS Code all installed. Let's kind of run through VS Code, okay? Because that's pretty important. Okay, so I'm going to do that in the context of Windows, because Windows has a few quirks on it that make it a little bit more difficult. If you're on a Mac or Linux, then you won't have these problems. So that's why I'm going to do it on Windows, but Mac and Linux users, you'll be able to do the same thing. So let's go ahead and go over that. All right, so let's go ahead and make sure that we are good to go. We have everything installed. So first of all, there may be already an icon on the desktop that you can see here. If there is, go ahead and double click it and open up VS Code. If not, you can find it you can open up the start screen and just find it. It should be installed. Now, yours is going to look a little bit different than mine because I'm obviously have customized mine and, to make it look, kind of fancy, but it should look somewhat similar. You probably have a dark theme. I think VS Code defaults to a dark theme. So when you log in, you'll see something like this. Now, let's go over for this module 0, we are going to be using the terminal. Okay. Other modules will start actually using VS Code and start using Git directly. But for this module, we're just concerned about the terminal. So to open a terminal, you can hit F1 and then type in terminal, and then it should terminal create new terminal, right? Or you can just hit new terminal, or you can use the shortcut. There's a lot of different ways. I personally like using the shortcut. I like using the shortcut. So F1 and type in terminal, and then I click on create new terminal, and it should show up down here. Now here's where it is a little bit weird on Windows. Now on Windows defaults to PowerShell. So PowerShell will work, but unfortunately PowerShell is largely only used on Windows. PowerShell is cross-platform, but usually only Windows developers use it. The cross-platform shell that we want to use that works better, because it's what Git uses, is Git Bash, right? And we actually want to close PowerShell. We don't want to use PowerShell. So we can know that we have Git Bash, right? So it looks right here. We can you can just look to see how things kind of it kind of looks different, right? But more importantly, you want to be able to see Bash over here, and you can see all the different types of terminals. Oops, see there's a PowerShell. PowerShell is a PowerShell terminal. So I want to hit this little down arrow, and I can see I can do PowerShell, Bash, command prompt, Java debug, split terminal. So Git Bash is the way I want. Now, if Git Bash, let's get rid of these extra ones. If Git Bash does not show up on the list, it's because you have not installed Git. Okay, so let's actually make this bigger. Let's see, view appearance, zoom in. There we go. Zoom in. There we go. Make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so let's actually go through that again. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and close. Let's go close everything up. So we want to say terminal, new terminal, or F1. Let's do new terminal. And you can see that it defaults to PowerShell, and that is the wrong shell. Now, there is a setting in VS Code that you can customize that. Feel free to look that up. But if you see PowerShell, again, we got to make sure and hit the down arrow, hit Git Bash. Okay, and now we are in Git Bash, and now we know we are in the correct one. Again, okay, so what happens if you can't find Git Bash? Well, it's because if you go down here, you could type Git, and you should see Git Bash. You can run it standalone as well. Okay, and there's the standalone. This is Git Bash, so we can type Git version. We can see that we have Git version 2.351. Okay, and if you don't see that, it's because you did not install Git, and you need to go back to the website and install it, or you can just open up and go to Git SCM. You can go to a browser and type git-scm.com, and this is the official. Don't go to Google, because you'll get some hacked up version. This is the official Git website. Hit download for Windows, and you can download the installer, and should be good to go. And just keep everything default. When you download the installer, just keep everything default, and everything should work. Okay. So that's pretty much what we're going to be using for. In fact, we can close that. So we're actually going to be using the terminal pretty exclusively for module 0. Right. So we're going to learn how to use ls. We cd into we can make a directory, mkdir repos. I can cd into repos. Right. I can ls. So there's a lot of, that's what we're going to learn, is just how to navigate the terminal, because it is very important in order to use Git. So So that is what we're going to be using. When we get over to module 1 and start actually using Git, we'll go over how to use Git within the context of Visual Studio, and I'll walk you through in the hands-on lab for module 1. I'll walk you through all that. So that's for Windows. Now for Mac, okay, Mac is really similar. The difference is in Mac, okay, you can go and you can open up terminal, and everything looks pretty similar, right? That's the nice thing about VS Code is it's all integrated, and we can go terminal, new terminal, and you notice that Mac gives you ZSH, and that's fine. ZSH is fine. You don't actually ZSH and Bash are equivalent. You don't have to. The default setup for Mac works just fine, and you can check that you have Git installed by just typing Git and then version, and it should tell you what you have installed. So that's VS Code, and that is what we're going to be doing. We're going to install VS Code. We're going to do a version control overview, which is a kind of a history, that you're going to read the paper and kind of write, you're going to write like a really short research paper about version control, and then read about the history. So this is kind of like a good introduction and get you all set up correctly. So I hope that this all works out for you. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to email me, and I will help you out as quickly as I can. And happy hacking.